Many Americans are expected to vote by mail for the first time this November because of the pandemic. And all across the country, the rules vary for when you can get your ballot and when you should return it. So just take a look at this. In green, you can see states that require ballots to be postmarked by Election Day. The yellow states require that they be received by Election Day. Key distinction. For details, everybody should check with their state election office. I can't stress that enough. Very important. One other thing that is very clear, you need to give it even more time than your state might recommend to get your ballot through the mail system. This is crucial. In 2016, out of 33 million mail-in ballots, more than 73,000 arrived too late to be counted. They were not counted. So what we did is we set up an experiment to see how long you should give yourself to make sure your vote actually counts. We got guidance from voting rights advocates who say it is as simple as determining how much time it takes for first-class mail to go from point A to point B.
If you know how to mail a letter, you already know how to mail in your vote.
How you doing? Good, thanks. Thank you very much.
But how long might it take for that vote to actually arrive and be counted?
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
We decided to test it, sending 100 mock ballots simulating 100 voters from locations all across Philadelphia to a P.O. box we set up to represent a local election office. A couple days later, we mailed 100 more, using the same size envelopes and the same class of mail as real ballots here. To approximate the weight, we even folded mock votes into every one. In the following week, we checked our P.O. box for the results.
Mail pickup notice, there's more.
When we went to collect everything, though,
Nothing?
most of our votes seemed to be lost.
That's all I have back there right now. That's
You're sure, huh? You're totally sure. I believe in you. I just...
all right, then. Have a good day.
Okay, take care.
We had to ask for a manager
We're trying to do something about mail-in ballots.
and explain ourselves before someone finally found our votes.
They have you somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
1, 2.
We soon discovered another problem, missorted mail, 2 pieces of it.
We got a birthday card from Mike to Ronnie. Have a sweet B-day. Get it? There's a B on top.
When the birthday greetings ended,
12, 13.
we found a bigger issue. 21% of our votes hadn't materialized after 4 days. And the batch we'd mailed a week prior, some of those were missing too.
So of our 100 ballots, 97 arrived, which sounds pretty good, unless you consider the fact that that means 3 people who tried to vote by mail in our mock election were in fact disenfranchised by mail.
In a close election, 3% could be pivotal, especially in what's expected to be a record year for mail-in voting.
We're going to see somewhere between probably 80 and 100 million voters receiving their ballot that way.
Tammy Patrick is a former Arizona election official who says many states have policies that just don't take into account the postal system.
So states like Ohio, you can request your ballot on Saturday up until noon for Tuesday's election. And that is the worst possible thing because you are setting up the voters with false expectations and you're setting them up to fail.
The Postal Service says voters should mail their return ballots at least 1 week prior to the due date. But nearly half of all states still allow voters to request ballots less than a week before the election. So you can forgive the public for being a tad confused.
How long do you think the post office recommends?
About 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
They're saying at least a week.
A week?
They're saying at least a week for your vote.
Others are hesitant to rely on mail for something as serious as their vote.
Do you trust the Postal Service to deliver your vote?
I never have, honestly. I don't know if I would.
Have you ever had anything lost in the mail?
I absolutely have. Yeah.
Are you waiting on things in the mail right now?
I am. I am.
Yeah.
I just don't trust the mail. That's true.
You don't trust the mail either?
Well, I just don't. I would like to give, especially during COVID, give them ample time to deliver it.
I don't trust it.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm scared that it might get lost in the mail. I just want to make sure that my vote is submitted. Like, I see that it's submitted, that it actually counts.
In the warehouse where Philadelphia stores its voting machines, we shared the results of our little experiment with City Commissioner Lisa Deely, who helps oversee elections here.
Better than you expected.
It was better than I expected.
Okay, that's good to know.
After nearly 15,000 ballots arrived late in last month's primary here, she says voters are right to be wary.
If I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is even if a voter follows all the rules in the state of Pennsylvania, you still can't guarantee, as an election commissioner, that that vote arrives on time.
No, because I can guarantee my end of it. I can guarantee that I'm going to get you your ballot, and if I get it back in time, it's going to be counted. But I have no way of guaranteeing what happens in the Postal Service.
Think about that for a minute. So we should point out that official election mail, unlike our mock ballots here, has a logo that we couldn't include. That logo is supposed to expedite things. But our results are broadly in line with the post office's own audits. The Postmaster General declined our request for an interview, but in an email, the Postal Service told us it's, quote, committed to delivering election mail in a timely manner. And it says it can handle the expected surge and that it is working with election officials to help with that effort and to educate the public. But guys, Gail, the Postal Service also says, get this, it cannot guarantee any delivery date with your ballot. So the recommendation nationally is don't wait. Get that thing in the mail early, early, early.
Wow, message delivered, Tony. But I got to say, for people who are thinking about voting, mail-in voting, I don't know if I would be, no, I wouldn't be comforted by your piece. And number two, you said that 97 of the ballots of the 100 came back, but you had to ask the Postal Service a couple of times because first they told you it wasn't there.
Yeah, and there are cases just from this.
That's not reassuring.
There are cases from just this last spring where ballots have gone missing and turned up after the election. So it happens. I mean, the post office is doing its absolute best, but they're humans.
Yeah. Well, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but 3% in an election can be huge.
Yeah.
Can change everything.
Sure can.
All right.
Yeah.